What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm also going to talk about some new developments that are panning out on the charts so far, how things are looking going into next week. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total. Not to mention 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. So our friends very soon, just a couple of weeks. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the markets. So far, SPY is doing a good job at maintaining this uptrend. But I just wanted to call out that I do think that this might actually cool off just a little bit on Monday, possibly, because of the fact that we have Veterans Day. There's going to be less volume coming in. And then it's not going to be a big dump. It's going to be a small little healthy dip before we continue to push higher later on. So the chart remains bullish overall, but for the time being, there might be a little bit of a dip at this tough resistance. So I say that because of the fact that we hit 600. If we hold above 600, however, we're going to remain bullish. So I will change my view depending on that. But for now, I still hold this same view. Now, I initially thought the dip might come as soon as today, a little bit later on. We didn't quite get it today the way I was thinking. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. The way the market moved was we essentially pushed throughout the day. But then at the very end of the day, we did see the market finally get that dip. It wasn't like the way I was thinking. I was thinking the market would push just a little bit like this and then start dipping from here. But instead, we actually went higher and higher and higher for almost the entire day before we got that little dip. So that's my view of the market. I think that there is going to be a little bit of a healthy pullback. This could even resemble like a head and shoulders. But then we're going to continue to remain very, very bullish as the most likely case. If this is a fake out and we end up pumping because of something that comes out in the news, you want to see us break 600. If 600 breaks and holds, then I will maintain my bullish stance. That's my very, very clear and simple analysis, at least for the time being. All right. I will talk more about these charts in just a minute. Let's first talk about something else real quick. Just know that for the week, it's been pretty crazy because of the fact that when you look at this data, we saw tech basically slow down. We saw Nvda, Apple, Microsoft, and Google all slow down a little bit, even Amazon. But then finance held up very, very well. And some stocks like Tesla did very well because of some bullish news that came out. What happened to Tesla? We got some very, very bullish remarks from different analysts about AI. And then we saw Elon Musk participate in a call with Trump and Zelensky, which just goes to further exemplify his stance in politics. Why is that important? Because it gives Tesla an advantage. Elon Musk now has direct connection with the president, and they're now going to be very involved when it comes to like policy and such. So that's something that's worth noting. That could be very beneficial for Tesla, despite some policies under the administration that may not help them. So tax incentives might not be that helpful. They may change tax incentives in a way that is not too helpful for Tesla, such as like getting rid of the 7,500 EV tax credit. That's a possibility. Could they try to replace it thanks to Elon Musk negotiating with Trump? It's a possibility, right? That's very open now because of his relationship. Same thing with tariffs. They could attempt to shift tariffs a little bit if Musk is willing to negotiate. We'll just have to see on that. But so far, Tesla's very optimistic with this relationship. Now, moving forward, Monday is coming up. Monday is going to be a quiet day. There's not really any data coming up because it's going to be Veterans Day. The bonds market is going to be closed. That's why. So I do anticipate some smaller amounts of volume to be coming in. However, despite that, just know this: when it comes to the way the market's moving, there could be a shift. Though we might see a little bit less volume. The New York Stock Exchange is still going to be open, and we could see a bit of a slowdown for Monday because of that. Because it's going to be Veterans Day, there might be a lot of profit taking. But then for Tuesday, we have essentially Cash Carey giving a speech and a bunch of Fed speakers. That's going to be a little bit more significant. Wednesday and Thursday are going to be the more significant days because on Wednesday, we have CPI data and a bunch of Fed speakers. On Thursday, we have PPI data coming out, not to mention Jerome Powell giving a speech. Then we have more data coming out by Friday. But that's pretty much it for what's coming out, at least thus far. The Fear and Greed Index is also at greed right now, is making up the majority of sentiment. Momentum remains more greedy as we're seeing more of these buyers stepping in. And then the puts and call option ratio is at neutral. This could be dipping a little bit lower because of the fact that we saw a lot of these shorts being closed. On top of this, we also saw a little bit of a shift right here. Monday.com is looking pretty decent. This could cause some volatility, at least for the stock, maybe some other ones involved in that. And besides that, everything else is going to be quite small. We just have like Shopify, Home Depot, a lot of retail. Then we have Disney on Thursdays. Just watch for that. What do I see here? It looks like they grab liquidity right over here, and this could be an attempt to move down. If we manage to hold above 600, though, I will stay bullish. If not, we do favor a move back down, a little bit of a pullback before we try to bounce again. So there might be a small dip coming. We are due for that. If you look at this rejection right here, might be a little bit of a dip before the market tries to bounce. So give it some time to develop. ES has the same thing, essentially developing. We're slowing down in terms of our momentum. This might make its way down closer to 6,000, a little bit below that before it tries to bounce again. So watch for that. As far as Tesla goes, it remains very, very bullish. We could still pump even more. If the market slows down a bit, it could start to trade sideways before it tries to continue to push. But nonetheless, it's very, very strong and very bullish. So historically, we're at the highest level we've been since like early 2022. We broke past 300 like it was nothing. That was a tough resistance we broke. Also, 310, we just broke it like that as if it was nothing, which just goes to show how strong Tesla is because of this hype and this pump with the victory of Trump. For Bitcoin, we're looking a little bit more bearish. It might come down to about the 75,000 before it tries to bounce, so just keep that in mind. For other factors out there, we also have, let me just double check this, NQ. NQ has this resistance around 21,250. Our main support's at 21,139. We might be dipping closer to these lower levels like the lower 21,000s before we try to bounce. So watch and see how things end up going. QQQ is also kind of flat right here. We could be dipping back down for basically 512. If that fails us, we're looking for essentially 510. We could be dipping a little bit before we try to bounce, so give this some time. But nonetheless, I'm going to be very, very patient. Aapl could be dipping back down to 225 before it tries to bounce. It's still bullish. This chart is bullish. Might get a temporary dip before it tries to bounce, so just keep that in mind. For others out there, we have the IWM, which is trading sideways. It has a range to watch for. It is still technically holding up very well, but as we hit the 238s, we do tend to reject, and we tend to get bought up around 235. So we're just trading sideways, going back and forth for now. Might dip closer to 235 before it tries to bounce. So we'll see how it goes. For Coinbase, we're more bullish. We'll see if we continue to break out for 275. For Amazon, we're on a bit of a dip right over here. We could be dipping closer to about 205 or so. It might dip a little bit more before it tries to bounce, so we'll have to see how things end up going. For Meta, we could be dipping back down. We might pop a bit, then dip back down for 585, and we'll see if we get a bounce off that or not. Microsoft could be dipping back down for about 420 before it tries to bounce, and then Google could also do the same thing. It's on a bit of a downtrend here, so it might dip closer to about 178 before it tries to bounce as well. So the majority of stocks, especially tech, are starting to slow, and this could slow down the S&P 500 and NASDAQ just a little bit. So there could be a slight slowdown most likely for Monday. Always be adaptive though, in case we don't get it. You want to see if we break past 600, because if we do, we will push more. I think that 600 is a very psychological level for SPY, and it is due for a little bit of a dip as the most likely case, especially because Monday is going to be Veterans Day. There's not going to be as many traders. So if we do get a small dip on Monday, don't worry, because we could still get bought back up by Tuesday or Wednesday after we get CPI and then Jerome Powell's speech on Thursday. So we have a lot coming out by the middle of the week. May start off on a weekend, a week note for next week. Start off weak, but then finish very strong towards the end of the week. That's the most likely possibility, in my personal opinion. Of everything, Tesla is one of the strongest stocks. It's just continuing to rip. It's just breaking past these resistance levels like it's nothing. Historically, we do tend to reject off 300 and 310. We just broke past like it was nothing, guys. Even I was like thinking that we might dip a little bit, but we just broke it. So we remain more bullish. Just want to make this very, very significant. And I just want to say I really appreciate you guys so much for listening. So please have a good weekend. Enjoy what life has to offer. I'll be back tomorrow for another update. Until then, I hope you guys have a great day, and peace out.